My name is Emily Carter, and if anyone had told me years ago that I would one day have to fight for my own voice to be heard, I wouldn't have believed them. I grew up in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio, surrounded by kind neighbors, a tight-knit school, and a family that believed in treating others with respect. I carried those values into adulthood, and for a long time, I assumed the world worked the same way. But I was wrong. What happened to me challenged everything I thought I knew about trust, about speaking up, and about what it means to stand firm when someone refuses to respect boundaries. I met Jason Miller during my late 20s when I started working at a local community outreach center. The center wasn't just a workplace, it was my sanctuary. We helped struggling families find resources, offered tutoring to kids, and created safe spaces for people who felt lost. Jason joined a year later, coming in with an impressive background in fundraising and event planning. At first glance, he seemed charming, the kind of person who lit up a room with his energy. Everyone admired his dedication, and I, being new to leadership, looked up to him for guidance. The friendship started innocently enough. He'd help me carry boxes for weekend events, give me advice when I felt overwhelmed, and make everyone laugh during long staff meetings. It was natural to feel grateful. But over time, that gratitude twisted into something heavier, something I didn't notice until it became too much. The first red flag was subtle. One evening, as I was packing up files late, Jason came into my office. "You work too hard," he said with a smile, leaning against my desk. I laughed nervously and told him it came with the job. But instead of leaving, he lingered, talking about how I should learn to relax and how I needed someone to help me loosen up. I brushed it off as a joke, but I remember feeling a knot in my stomach. Then came the small invasions of space, standing too close during conversations, finding excuses to touch my shoulder when explaining something, or pulling out chairs for me when I didn't need help. I told myself I was overreacting. After all, he hadn't done anything blatantly wrong, right? But inside, I felt my comfort zone shrinking. The breaking point happened during our annual fundraising gala. I had spent weeks preparing for it, barely sleeping, ensuring every detail was perfect. When the event finally arrived, the hall glowed with string lights, tables draped in linen, and the air buzzed with laughter and music. I should have been proud, but Jason's presence loomed like a shadow. He kept insisting on dancing with me, guiding me across the floor while ignoring my quiet protests. I told him, "Jason, please, I don't feel comfortable." But he laughed it off, tightening his grip and whispering that I needed to stop being so tense. That night was when I begged him to stop, not once, not twice, but over and over. And he never stopped. He didn't listen. He didn't care. Every time I tried to pull away, he brushed it aside like my words meant nothing. I felt trapped, suffocated in plain sight of everyone, yet invisible because nobody seemed to notice the way my smile was forced and my eyes pleaded for space. After that night, I couldn't sleep. The sound of his laughter echoed in my mind. I replayed every moment, every ignored no, and wondered if I was to blame for not being louder, stronger, or more forceful. But deep down, I knew the truth. It wasn't me. It was him. He had chosen not to respect my boundaries. I finally confided in my closest friend, Sarah, who also worked at the center. Her face hardened as I told her everything. "Emily, you don't have to go through this alone," she said firmly. "He doesn't get to decide what's okay for you. You do." Her words lit something in me that had been dimmed by fear. The next day, I filed a formal complaint with the board that oversaw the center. It wasn't easy. My hands shook as I signed the documents, and my voice trembled as I described every uncomfortable encounter. But each word I spoke gave me back a piece of the strength I thought I had lost. The investigation that followed was exhausting. Jason tried to paint me as overly sensitive, claiming he was just being friendly and that I had misunderstood his intentions. But Sarah stood by me, as did others who admitted they had noticed his behavior and felt uneasy too. Slowly, the truth unraveled. The board took action, and Jason was removed from his position. It wasn't the clean victory I had imagined. People whispered, some avoided me, and there were days I felt isolated. But there were also moments of unexpected support, Letters from families thanking me for protecting the integrity of the center, quiet nods from coworkers who respected my courage, and the unwavering presence of Sarah, who reminded me I was never alone. The hardest part was forgiving myself for doubting, for waiting so long, for not screaming louder. But healing came with time, therapy, and self-reflection. I realized that my voice mattered, even if it shook, and that boundaries are not negotiable suggestions. They are lines that define safety, respect, and dignity. Years later, I still think about that time, not with shame but with resilience. Jason never stopped when I asked him to, but I learned how to stop blaming myself. I learned to stand tall, even when others tried to silence me. And most importantly, I learned that strength isn't about never being hurt, it's about choosing to rise anyway. This is my story. Not because I want sympathy, but because I want anyone who has ever felt ignored, dismissed, or overpowered to know this. Your voice matters. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Boundaries are your right, and no one, not a coworker, not a friend, not anyone, has the right to break them. And today, I'm proud to say I found my strength in the very place I thought I lost it.